Any officers attending via Zoom, please keep their cameras and microphones off unless you're speaking to an item. Can we start the live stream, please? Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai ki te hui tuku muti I te ara waka I tēnei rā. Welcome everybody to today's Traffic Subcommittee meeting. The emergency procedures are shown on the screen. If you're unwell, please do not attend. The meeting can be watched on Council's website. In the event of a fire, 2 exits from chambers. On hearing the fire alarm, the Democracy Advisor will show you to the assembly point, and of course, in the event of an earthquake, please drop, cover and hold until the shaking stops. Can I ask that all mobile phones be switched to silent? Reminder for members to use microphones that this meeting's being live streamed. The opening formalities, karakia timatanga, me karakia tātou, please join me in the karakia. Whakatakita hou ki te uru, whakatakita hou ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e hi ake ane te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei, mauri ora. Item number 2, we have apologies from Councillor Gabriel Tupou. I move the motion that the apology received from Councillor Tupou be accepted and leave of absence granted, seconded by Glenda Barrett. Thank you. I declare the motion carried. I believe we have nobody for public comment. Moving on to item number 4, call on members to declare any conflicts of interest that may have in relation to the items on the agenda. All good. Right, we're going to change the order of things, the precedence of business. In accordance with Standing Order 10.4, I accord precedence of business to item 5B, broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, High Street Bulcott and Brook Street, Waifatu. And that is on page 18 of your agenda. I'd like to ask Evandro Ashura, the Traffic Engineering Manager, to come and speak to the item. Thank you, Evandro. And joined by Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. Kia ora. Transport consulted on 3 proposals for broken yellow lines, 2 of them on High Street to enable driver visibility, and another proposal on Brook Street with the intention to improve vehicle accessibility. The road is narrow, so when emergency services would need to travel along the road, vehicle accessibility would be an issue for these services. Our proposal along Brook Street aims to be with broken lines intercalated, one on each side of the road. The reason for this design approach is to reduce a significant amount of parking loss and also to reduce speed likelihood. It is known that when there are broken lines along one long section of the road, drivers tend to speed. On the proposal, we didn't want to install broken lines outside of the driveways due to potential cost implementation and the fact that it's illegal to park outside of a driveway. If incidents of vehicles being parked outside of driveways, we'll be looking at these matters in a case-by-case situation. There's also a new house development between properties 15 and 19 Brook Street. We have not proposed broken lines outside these new developments as vehicle accessibility is not considered to be compromised on this site. Thank you.
Thank you, Evandro. Members, do any of you have a question? Councillor Parkin.
Kia ora, thank you for the report. You mentioned not including broken yellow lines across driveways because of the cost implementation. How many driveways do we actually need to have then have an implementation of the broken yellow lines before that cost would have been nullified and cheaper to do this way than put them in the first place?
Thanks for the question. What we have implemented recently is a new standard operational procedure. So we do install broken yellow lines outside of driveways when there is enforcement of vehicles being parked outside of these driveways. So we treat this individually.
And again, Councillor Parkin.
Sorry, you didn't quite answer my question that I was trying to ask. How many new driveways that would require broken yellow lines will it take to get up to the cost of just simply putting them in the first place? Because obviously we have cost in terms of your time implementation, getting contractors out there on site. I'm assuming there would be some cost savings if we just do them all in one go.
Through you, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
that is something, Councillor, that we can look into for future. We've had a number of situations, we've put broken yellow lines across driveways and then had quite a lot of backlash as well. So it's a balance, but it needs to form part of the consultation moving forward, noting your point.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Dyer.
Yeah, on Brook Street, there's obviously a large council development happening, which you've marked there in green. There will be a new driveway entrance to and from that development. Have you factored that into where you've put the yellow lines?
Yes, we have looked at the proposal for the new house development. There will be no requirement for broken lines to be between properties 15 and 19.
And yeah, just back to the question around not putting it over driveways. Obviously, we're blocking off a lot of the street here with yellow lines. People may now start getting a bit creative with where they park and then come to the council and say, hey, I want broken yellow lines over my driveway. I'm assuming just one driveway is probably going to cost more than just doing it as part of this project. Why didn't we, this is the first time I'm seeing us not consulting on doing the driveways. If it needed to be consulted on, why didn't we just consult on it initially?
We are planning to install broken lines on case-by-case situations. So for this reason, we have not proposed the broken lines outside of these driveways. However, once we identify, if we are going to identify that that's going to be an issue, we may proceed with the installation of additional broken lines. We don't expect costs to be excessive.
I understand that, but surely the cost of doing that costs more than the cost would say. You said we weren't doing the driveways because it would cost more. Surely doing that exercise would cost far more than. We're proposing to put yellow lines literally the whole berm except for someone's driveway where it's illegal to park. It would, I would assume, cost more to stop the truck, not do the driveway, than just paint the extra 1 or 2 meters of driveway. If they now have an issue and complain to the council, we're going to have to go through this exercise again, get the truck back out there and paint the lines. I don't see this being a cost-saving exercise if that's what we're going to have to go through.
Through you, Madam Chair, thanks, Councillor. Look, I think in this case, I think you're quite right. We'll go back and have a conversation with the resident, and so may just seek approval, provided that they are in agreement that actually in this case we do paint those at the same time, and in the future they will be in all papers, unless the feedback that comes back from the homeowners is we do not want those.
Cool. Thank you. And as part of that, if we could talk to Urban Plus as well and find out where their driveway is going to be. I think it's already marked. They would almost certainly want yellow lines across their driveway because there's internal parking in there. It's not just a driveway, it's access to the whole site. Thank you.
I just have a question in regards to Brook Street as well, too, and having had a bit of experience with Biddle Crescent in particular, where we're now doing berm indentation, which is proving to be really successful because of the width of that particular road, and I see there's a similar problem there. Was that ever a consideration for this, or were the staggered broken yellow lines the only consideration because of the cost factor as well?
Thanks for the question. We have not considered that approach, as most properties have their own driveways. So the assumption is that property owners will be able to park on their driveways, in their own properties.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, so we're just following up on John Kingsbury's statement that we'll be engaging with that resident in regards to the broken yellow lines. I'd like to move the motion that the subcommittee recommends that council receives and notes the information, approves the installation of broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, parking restrictions along the proposed cul-de-sac area at the intersection of Hebden Crescent with, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Here we go, I better go to page 18 where I was before. Apologies for that. The subcommittee recommends that council receives and notes the information, approves the installation of broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, parking restrictions outside 799 High Street, Bulcott, attached as Appendix 1 to the report, approves the installation of broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, parking restrictions on High Street, Bulcott, outside 746 High Street, between 779 and 781 High Street, and outside 781 High Street, attached as Appendix 3 to the report. Approves the installation of various broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, parking restrictions on Brook Street, Waifatu, between Grenville Street and Guthrie Street, attached as Appendix 5 to this report. Approves the installation of a giveaway control at the intersection of Brook Street and Grenville Street, attached as Appendix 5 to the report. And rescinds any previous resolutions pertaining to traffic controls made pursuant to any bylaw to the extent that they conflict with the traffic controls described in the report, and notes that these parking restrictions will take effect once the appropriate road markings have been approved. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Is there any debate? I'd like to put the motion forward. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Right, I see how the visitors have arrived now, so we will go back to item number 5 on page 6 of the agenda. Evandro will speak to the item, and I believe we have David Cross and Vicky Linley from Waka Kotahi, New Zealand TA, are available to answer any questions. If you'd like to come to the table, thank you.
So our transport team is here today with NZTA to seek the approval of the paper for broken yellow lines at the intersection of Hebden Crescent with State Highway 2, and also for the turning point located 60 meters off this intersection. Please note that this proposal is led by NZTA with council support. NZTA has pre-engaged with affected parties and consulted with the community. During engagement stage, there were some residents who had some concerns with a potential traffic increase on the roads of the vicinity that belong to Hutt City Council. Traffic volumes on the vicinity of the roads are expected to have a low increase. Therefore, we did consider these changes to cause minimal impact. So we have the representatives from NZTA here present with us at the meeting, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. And I'd just like to applaud you for this quite extensive program for a safety update of State Highway 2 from Pitoni to Featherston, I see. So thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Councillor Parkin.
Kia ora, thank you for the report. A couple of questions. First one is the feedback and the 100-metre radius. Did you go outside of that 100-metre radius knowing that most of the affected people are actually going to be businesses?
Kia ora. No, we didn't. We remained within the 100 metres. We did get one feedback coincidentally afterwards in support of the broken yellow lines. But in terms of for specifically on the broken yellow lines, it was within the 100-metre radius.
Councillor Parkin.
Can I ask why that wasn't considered, that actually businesses and trucking companies are going to be the main users of these, and therefore I would have thought it was most appropriate to actually consult with them?
Because that was the advice we received from the Hutt City Council. Separately, we have obviously as part of the project as a whole engaged with the entire business area and the residents in the whole area, and previously had letter dropped all the residents on the project as a whole, the length of Liverton Road, the length of Gurney Road, and the full length of Hebden Crescent.
Through you, Madam Chair, just further from what David was saying, so Councillor, you may have been at the, I can't remember, there was a public meeting at Jenny Anderson's office, where this went through in quite some detail, as you will remember. So this is very much a safety project, and taking the right-hand turn in, right-hand turn out, we completely agree with. It is very dangerous trying to get in and out of there. So there were a significant number of businesses at that meeting, as we know, who did voice their concerns, and it was published online with the consultation, and there were letter drops throughout. So get your point around, Councillor, around this particular one with the broken yellow lines, but the whole project there was a lot of consultation and a lot of opportunities, and people did take those opportunities to provide their feedback.
Councillor Parkin.
Got to follow up on that. Gurney Road was raised as one of the significant points of issue. I have had reports of driving that is inappropriate and inappropriate use of Gurney Road already. What monitoring is going on from our point of view as council to ensure that that's A, not happening, and B, is being monitored so that if it is happening, we are actually being reactive rather than basing it on our presumptions and assumptions that are already proving to be false.
Through you, Madam Chair. We will be monitoring, Evandro can probably add to this, both in terms of vehicle volumes, or mainly in terms of vehicle volumes and any reports from residents.
Yeah. Yes, we'll be monitoring by looking at the speed data, also in terms of what number of traffic increase we are going to have. We would like to do a follow-up site visit once the changes are implemented, so we can have a better understanding of the situation.
Are there any other questions? I understand too, David, from you that there will be some wayfinding signage put up by NZTA.
Correct. We'll be placing signage at the Haywoods interchange on Hebden Crescent itself at the intersection where we have removed the right turns. And also some signage has gone in at the intersection of State Highway 58 and Hebden Crescent to help prevent inverse driving. That signage is yet to be installed and is on the program for the next, to be installed in July. The works at the northern intersection of Hebden Crescent is expected to be finished late July.
Appreciate you listening to the residents from Liverton Road as well for that turnaround. So I think that will really work for them. Councillor Dyer.
Yeah, just one question on the actual physical markings. Obviously, you know what broken yellow lines are, but the white cross-hatching, are vehicles able to park in that as long as they're on the other side of the yellow line?
The white hatching, I suppose technically, potentially they could. The white hatching was included to keep the areas clear, but the broken yellow lines are the enforcement markings.
Yeah, which means you can't park on the yellow lines, but you
Correct.
can park on with your left wheels on the yellow line.
So the intent of the yellow lines is to keep particularly at point B at the turnaround, is to keep that area clear, so that residents can use that. The residents of Liverton can use that area as a turnaround without having conflicting with the vehicle that's parked there.
And when you say keep the area clear, do you mean the whole area or just the road turny roundy bit? Because there will be nothing stopping trucks parking on that curb edge on the white hatching.
Yeah, definitely, that'd be the road.
So the road will stay clear, but trucks can still park on the curb.
Yeah, and we have, as part of the project overall, talked with the trucks that were parked there to make sure that they don't park there. But I'll go back and double check that because I don't have a specific answer with it, because the yellow lines are the markings to prevent parking.
Would it not be better doing yellow hatching if we don't want people to park there?
I don't think yellow hatching is a... Yeah.
I can provide a
Oh, sorry.
response. Yellow hatchings are not enforceable in this situation. What I would recommend would be for us to monitor the area. If we notice that vehicles would be parking within the hatched area, we may need to consider some physical barriers to be implemented. We don't expect that to occur, but that's something that could be a mitigation plan.
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. Sorry, Councillor, got in a bit fast. Just on page 11, councillors, that diagram's not quite to scale. So just noting, probably the page 12 is the better diagram to look at. On page 11, there is, as you can see, the blue markings go over the left in, left out, which is not correct. They're a little bit too big. So there is a clear left in and left out at that point. So for vehicles.
Sorry, page 11's the one that is being closed off to cars. Unless we're on a different page 11.
Councillor Parkin, you have a question?
Kia ora. Yeah, similar to Councillor Dyer, I'm just wondering whether or not keep clear cross hatchings would be more appropriate for this area where we've currently got the white hatchings. And this is where I think actually consulting with the businesses that use the area should have happened. I agree and acknowledge John Kingsbury's comment about a lot of consultation was undergone by Waka Kotahi through this process, but it was not specific to this design and not going out to the community and specifically contacting the businesses who are the ones that are going to be using this area, ensuring that we have the correct turning circles, etc., is somewhat concerning. I agree, doing it from a transport plan and best practices is fine, but the point of consultation is that we actually check with the community that what we've come up with is appropriate. I also acknowledge there is, and I am concerned that we are fighting against a timeline with the work already having started, and I agree that it is probably way too late to be doing significant major changes, but at the same time, I'm aware that that could be an issue, and we could find ourselves coming back and having spent this money and we actually need to re-implement something else. So I'm just wondering whether or not officers have any thoughts and reflections on how we can ensure this doesn't happen next time.
Through you, Madam Chair. Taking your point, I do think there was significant consultation. I think this the turning bay is an excellent solution to kind of minimise some of those problems. I think in terms of additional broken yellow lines, we need to monitor this, right? Should we need to put more in, then we'll absolutely have to consult and talk to businesses about that. But I think, yeah, bringing back to the biggest priority here was the safety of, of people in their vehicles getting in and out on and off State Highway 2 to Hebden. So, in the future, we would look at, with NZTR Waka Kotahi around how far we consult along, in areas such as this.
Thank you. So I understand that your consultation and the results from that and submissions are on your website. So that will all be there for us to have a look at. Is that correct?
On the, there's a consultation report, but in terms of the broken lines, in terms of the broken yellow lines specifically, we didn't get any feedback during the period. Only the email, the correspondence that's referred to, I think it's under point 11 or point 10, that came in after the consultation period from a resident on Liverton Road.
Thank you. So I just want to pick up on Councillor Dyer's point about the white hatching lines as opposed to the yellow hatching lines. Are either of those hatching lines enforceable if anybody parks on them?
As far as I'm aware, they're not enforceable. Broken yellow lines would be enforceable. From my knowledge, hatchings are not enforceable. We may need to seek further advice. That's my understanding.
Just from looking at the photo, to me, it appears that there's actually room for cars to park there in the middle. So I think it's something we might need to follow up with.
I'll take an action as well to seek advice on that from NZTA.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Dyer.
So I'm just looking at the map again, with the big turny-roundy bit. Do we, that's its technical name, do we need road markings on the ground to say this is, like, is it a roundabout? Should there be a giveaway where you're pulling out? It just seems a very simple, like, doesn't need the arrow.
I mean, I agree, it is a little bit on the simple side. It is essentially the way it was designed, so people that can come in both ways. We're not expecting a huge amount of traffic to use this turnaround, and is similar to other turnarounds that we've done. So at the time when this was designed, I thought that a giveaway wasn't required.
Yeah, maybe we can keep it. And
But that's just in terms of some of these safety questions operations. We'll be doing a post-safety, post-completion safety audit as well, which will pick up these items, and because sometimes how they look on the plan and once they're installed can be a bit different.
yeah, cool. Maybe if we could ask them, maybe like 6 months or so,
Yeah.
we get a paper back just on any further changes to make it safer. Because like, a lot of people use this as an informal park and ride, and I'm just worried they're going to still be able to park there and not be ticketed because they're not breaking the rules. So that's kind of not really solving the problem, but I think it'll go a long way.
Fair comment. Is there any other questions?
Madam Chair, just in that sort of 6 months down the track, I think we'll come back on Gurney Road and the local roads and any traffic issues that we have at the same time in the same report.
Thank you for that. All right, I move the motion that subcommittee recommends that council receives and notes the information, approves the installation of broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, parking restrictions along the proposed cul-de-sac area at the intersection of Hebden Crescent with State Highway 2, attached as Appendix 1 to the report, approves the installation of broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times within the turnaround facilities on Hebden Crescent, approximately 60 metres north of the intersection of Hebden Crescent with State Highway 2, attached as Appendix 2 to the report. Number 4 rescinds any previous solutions pertaining to traffic controls made pursuant to any bylaw to the extent that they conflict with the traffic controls described in the report, and notes that these parking restrictions will take effect once the appropriate road markings have been approved. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Is there any debate? Councillor Dyer first, and then Councillor Barrett.
Kia ora. Obviously, this is the first time Hebden Crescent intersections come to council being an NZTA project. It's been obviously led by NZTA and not the council. So I just want to acknowledge the businesses and residents that are in this area, that this does actually add quite a significant length of travel time to their journeys, especially for the businesses that are coming and going quite a bit. But do acknowledge that the reasons why these changes have gone through from a safety point of view, it absolutely makes sense. But yeah, I did just want to acknowledge the disruption and the extra travel time to businesses.
Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to also acknowledge this report. It was only just a few years ago that this area was the subject of a major crash where a person was killed. So anything that we're doing in this area is bound to lead to more safety measures for the future and the safety of the residents in that area. So thank you.
Thank you, and I, as I mentioned before, applaud the safety component of your State Highway 2 upgrade or program. So thank you very much for that. I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Right, if we can move to item C on page 34 of the agenda, Oxford Terrace intersections, Mitchell Street and Copeland Street, proposed broken yellow lines. And I'd like to ask Anita Manda and Rona Limalu to come and speak to the item. Thank you.
Kia ora, officers. So we've just installed the curb extensions on the intersections of Oxford Terrace, Mitchell Street and Copeland Street to supplement in terms of safety to support the visibility towards the pedestrians who are crossing on the intersections. We have proposed some broken yellow lines. These have not been painted. these are planned to be painted after we get the approval from today's committee meeting. Thank you.
Does any member have a question? Councillor Dyer.
Yeah, there was obviously a media report this week about this issue. So just wanted some clarity. The consultation talked about losing 4 car parks. Could you point out specifically where on the maps those 4 car parks are actually being removed from?
Yeah, in the draft agenda meeting, there was a plan. There was the original broken yellow line, which showed the parks that were being removed. But after your comment, we removed the original plan, but it was on Mitchell Street. Just,
Yeah, so that's the map on page 39.
yeah, the map that we have now in the report, in the updated report, is the actual revised plan after the consultation.
Yeah.
So there's no parking loss on Mitchell Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we consulted, so page 39 is the map, but you're saying it's not in there. Is page 39 is the map that shows, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 4 car parks, that little on Mitchell Street. The only difference is between page 39 and the appendix map is that little yellow stretch. That's the 4 car parks.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Yes, that's 2 on Mitchell Street. Where's the other 2? On Oxford. So those 4 on Oxford are still. Yeah, so the letter says 2 on Mitchell, 4 on Oxford. Where are the 4 on Oxford that we're losing?
Near the Copeland Street intersection. Just on the left of the Copeland Street intersection.
Yeah, those yellow lines are already there. They've been there since November last year.
Yeah, we're just going to like repaint them as part of this project.
Those yellow lines already came to this committee. We signed that off in November last year, and they've already been painted. November 2023. So they're not losing any car parks.
Thank you, Councillor. No, there's no loss of car parking. So originally, there was going to be a loss of car parking. I need to meet with a couple of residents, and from feedback and actually going through the design again, I've realised actually no loss of car parking needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, it's a good outcome, but obviously we've caused a bit of angst in the community, and there's been press about this issue. Even in our consultation, we were only ever proposing 2 parks to be removed from Copeland Street. It was not 6, as the letter stated.
So through you, Madam Chair, on the diagrams, the consultation diagrams has the broken yellow lines extended up Mitchell Street and across further up on Oxford Street at the Mitchell Street intersection, just to the right-hand side of the intersection. The extent of those broken yellow lines were revised down after feedback from the residents that we received to allow those car parks to remain.
Just a follow-up question on that. I'm looking at the curvy bit between Oxford and Mitchell. Why haven't we extended them an extra couple of metres to block that pedestrian crossing? A car can park right there on that dropped curb crossing that's just been installed. Why would we not put yellow lines across that? Yeah. So there is already yellow lines painted there.
So as per my understanding, the proposed broken yellow line covers the crossing point. The crossing point is not quite visible, but it is being covered by the broken yellow lines. It's quite close to the approach of the intersection. I wish I could show with my finger, but.
Okay, so this map's not showing the existing yellow lines that are already there, it's just the proposed.
Yeah, there are some existing lines which we are just going to reinstate because we have built curb extensions. So the curbs have now come forward, so we would need to like put in new lines. Yeah.
But everywhere where there's any parking lots are already existing lines.
Yeah.
We're just repainting them, yeah. And then one other question is this development that's happened at 115, 120 used to have a driveway crossing. You can see it on the map, the northern part of Mitchell Street, where it's got the start of an L bay. That's now no longer a driveway, but it's still marked with L bars. Are we going to remove those L bars as part of this, or can we?
No, we're not going to change any of that as part of this project.
Can we?
I would have to go and have a chat.
Yeah, there's no point in having those L bars there. There's no longer a driveway crossing there.
We can have a look at that. Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Parkin.
Kia ora, request for future reports. Could we please have current broken yellow lines marked in another colour so that it's clearly visible as to what's already there? Even if you're remarking them, that's fine because we don't need to improve them. But it is useful for us to be able to see where we've got current broken yellow lines. If they're getting renewed, brilliant. They don't need renewed, that's fine. That's not a decision that we need to make. But it is very useful for us to be able to see them. And obviously, if anything needs to be removed, then having those marked and included in the consultation is important for people as well. So is that possible?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, we can do that. So current and proposed, different colours, no problem.
Through you, Madam Chair, I just want to add, just with the Kāinga Ora development that hit the media the other day, we'll be making a change to consultation, so it's not only with the residents but also with organisations such as Kāinga Ora. So, I mean, there's quite a big program of works in the valley that the Kāinga Ora will be doing over the coming years. So we're going to have a whole lot more papers that will come. You know, we've got big developments in areas such as this that will need additional broken yellow lines or some sort of traffic or safety calming. So, but yeah, just rest assured that we'll not just the residents but the organisation will also be consulted on.
Thank you. I think that's sensible, given the amount of Kāinga Ora developments around here, and I do appreciate the fact that you did take into account the residents' feedback. And I think at the draft agenda meeting we discussed the car parks, and now they've been removed. So I appreciate that, and just a little bit of tidying up on the current maps that we'll be using would be appreciated. Any more questions, Councillor Braid?
Thanks. Just got two more from me. On the map, page 37, outside 97 Oxford Street, it looks like there is a bus stop there. Is that bus stop still a current bus stop? It's hard to tell because the existing broken yellow lines aren't marked. And based purely on the satellite image, it looks like there is, but I know these bus stops have moved a bit as part of the Beltway.
Yeah, the bus stop has moved a bit towards the west.
Cool. And then my second question is, in November when this came to us, it was only that corner of Oxford and Copeland Street, and the issue then was cars parking where the new refuge island is, and cars could park between the curb and the island and block the entire road. And I questioned then why we were not putting yellow lines on the other side of the road where a car could park at the crossing, and was told then, yep, we'd look at it as part of the Beltway stuff. Obviously, we're still waiting for the Beltway stuff to come to us. Would it not make sense to put in those broken yellow lines on the other side of that crossing at the same time now? Like right now, a car could park there and just block entire Oxford Terrace and not be breaking the rules at all.
The team is planning for a comprehensive re-audit for Beltway because the current audit doesn't cover everything. I'm sure that will be picked up as part of that, and that will be reported in the next paper, in the next cycle.
Okay, so definitely, like, I'm just worried the Beltway's been pushed out now for 3 years. This is a matter of 2 metres of line when we're already spray painting hundreds of metres of line. Could we not just add it in now to the other side of that crossing and have the safety issue fixed?
Can totally do. I'll just go have a chat and confirm that in an email.
Okay.
Thanks, Councillor.
Any further questions? Right, I move the motion that the subcommittee recommends that council receives and notes the information, approves the broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times at the intersections of Mitchell and Copeland Streets along Oxford Terrace attached as Appendix 1 to the report, rescinds any previous resolutions pertaining to traffic controls made pursuant to any bylaw to the extent that they conflict with the traffic controls described in the report, and notes that these broken yellow lines will be installed after council approval as part of ongoing curb extension works, and if you can include the conversations that we just had today as well, would be great. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin. Is there any debate? Councillor Dyer.
Yeah, it's really tricky looking at these maps. I visited the site yesterday and had a look, and it's really tricky looking at these making these decisions when we don't have the existing broken yellow lines marked in there. I can't find a traffic resolution of us installing broken yellow lines on Copeland Street where that pedestrian crossing is. Those lines have already been painted. Our proposal here is to not install them a little bit shorter. Yeah, I just think fully support the curb extensions. I think we've done a great job with that. I walked through there several times yesterday and it's amazing. The narrowness of this intersection has made a huge safety improvement with no parking loss. I just think we've missed some opportunities with removing those L bars would actually be installing one new car park. Instead of going out and consulting saying we're going to lose 6 car parks, we could have consulted saying we're actually going to add an additional car park in. That wouldn't have made the New Zealand Herald this week, but it would have been a win for the residents here that obviously have issues with their parking. So just going forward, it would be great if we could just create a key for anything that comes to the traffic subcommittee that we know anytime we see a pink line is broken, existing broken yellow lines, anything that is yellow, like there just needs to be consistency even between the papers we've got today. There is a lack of consistency with the keys that we're seeing, which makes our job really hard. And I'm worried that little things can slip in if it's not really clear at this stage. Not everyone visits the site before signing these things off. Yeah, just this little things. Like when I visited there yesterday and saw the existing L bar that was on an old driveway, instantly I thought that L bar doesn't need to be there. But obviously someone from our transport team has visited the site, I hope, and has seen little things like that I think we could just fix while we're there. Same for the pedestrian crossing that I raised in November last year and was told, yep, we'd look at it. It's now almost a year, and we still don't have those broken yellow lines. So, yeah, happy to support it, but I just think we could be doing these things so much easier and save. So we've spent more time today talking about these broken yellow lines than the cost of painting these broken yellow lines.
Thank you, Councillor Dyer. Any other debate? And so totally understand where he's coming from in terms of using those keys. Are really important for us to be able to understand what we're reading in front of us. So appreciate if that can be addressed next paper. Thank you very much. Those in favour, please say aye. No one against. I declare the motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor.
Moving on to item D, proposed time-limited parking, Sherwood Street, Stokes Valley Road and Cuba Streets, page 42 of the agenda. Vandro Shearer and Jojo Varghese, traffic engineer, will speak to the item.
Thank you. Our transport engineering consulted on 3 time-limited parking. On the southern side of Sherwood Street, it's been proposed to convert the existing P120 parking restrictions between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. The changes are on benefit of Sacred Heart College. As they described to us, teachers from the school, currently they don't have enough time to vacate from the school and move their vehicles. Also, the proposal will benefit residents of the road, as in the morning and afternoon they'll have an extra hour to vacate from their parking space. For example, with the P180 proposal, residents currently need to vacate the space if they wish to at 10 a.m. With the new proposal, they'll be able to gain an extra time to vacate from the parking space. We also looked at the previous traffic resolution for the P120 proposal. It was also for the benefit of Sacred Heart College. So we are providing improvements for the same stakeholders. Thank you.
Members, do we have any questions? Oh, nearly went to move it. Councillor Brady. Dyer.
Yeah, just got questions around, I think all 3, but I'll start with Alistown. Where else in the city do we have traffic resolutions for restrictions from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m? Even Jackson Street doesn't have that. Is there anywhere else in the city that has?
Sorry, for what proposal are you referring to?
This is the Alistown one.
Alistown? Okay.
Yeah.
So for Alistown, what we're proposing is to make it standard from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That is based on the current land transport rules. So these rules are between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Do you have another question, Councillor Dyer?
Yeah, just on Alistown still. Obviously, there's been a few changes here since the draft agenda, which is good. But I'm still concerned that we've got P10s, P15s, P30s, P60s, all within about 6 car parks. Are we confident this is the best layout for this area?
From a transport perspective, we are, as we have pre-engaged with the businesses of the area. Also, when we consulted with the businesses on the changes, we have not received any negative feedback.
So there was some discussion at the draft agenda meeting about the number of variations of time limits. I see the P5s have been removed, which we know is not enforceable. It still looks very busy for me, but so too is this intersection in Alistown, pretty busy with lots of different businesses. So I think what you've proposed hopefully will suit the businesses there. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I think because of the short stay nature of a number of these businesses with takeaway shops and dairies and the like, having the mix of shorter time and the Park 60s is appropriate, but we need to get the markings right. So not only on signage, but also actually on the roads as well. So people are pretty clear whether they're in a Park 10 or a Park 15 or a Park 60. And it is obvious.
Are there any other questions? I move the motion that the subcommittee recommends that council receives and notes the information, approves the time extension to 11 times P80 time limited parking from 9 to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday along the southern side of the road from the intersection of Hutt Street / Sherwood Street to 20 Sherwood Street attached as Appendix 1 to the report. Approves the installation of one P15 at all times, time limited parking outside 351 Stokes Valley Road attached as Appendix 3, and improves the installation of various time limited parking standard hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Sunday on Cuba Street, Alistown. There will be 4 P10s between 425 and 429 Cuba Street. There will be 3 P60s between 426 and 432 Cuba Street, and 1 P60 outside 419 Cuba Street, and 3 P15 time limited parking between 424 and 426 attached as Appendix 5 to the report. Number 5, rescinds any previous resolutions pertaining to traffic controls made pursuant to any bylaw to the extent that they conflict with the traffic controls described in this recommendation, and notes that this matter will take effect when the traffic control devices that evidence the restrictions described in this resolution have been installed. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Is there any debate? I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Now moving on to item number 6, information item, the Traffic Subcommittee Forward Program on page 59 of the agenda. Does any members have any questions, please? Just one from me. Discussion at the agenda meeting was about a work program matrix and also having a status of completed works so that we are aware of what's been done, what's still coming. That would be much appreciated. Any other questions? I move the motion that the subcommittee receives and notes the forward program. Sorry, Councillor Parkin.
Kia ora. I was just wondering, with the micro-mobility side of things, whether or not the work to, whether or not that work will include the amount of transition that we need to engage in terms of motion transport. No, not for this one. Right, that's fine.
Thank you. I move the motion that the subcommittee receives and notes the forward program for 2024 attached as Appendix 1 to the memorandum. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. I declare the motion carried. Item number 7, questions. We've received no questions. Item number 8, closing formalities, karakia whakamutanga. Me karakia tātou, please join me in karakia. Unuhia, unuhia, unuhia e turu a tapanui, kia wātia, kia mama, tēnā kau te tinana, te wairua e te ara takatū, koe rā e rongo whakarehia a ki ronga, kia wātia, ai rā, kua wātia, hau pai marere. I declare the meeting closed at 2:51.